The Genesis Guardians, Ground Zero, Chapter 2. Marina fell back onto the sparring mat, rubbing her head. Her precious green eyes ceased their dizzy-like swirl as she massaged her backside through her GI, gazing up at her brother, Ramon. All right, Ray, I give up. Have some mercy, the preteen barked. Ramon sighed, crossing his arms. Just because you beg for mercy doesn't mean I'll cave in. Yeesh. Are all girls this fragile? He quipped under his breath. Marina sat up, stretching. And how exactly is fighting you going to help me or any of us fight demons? You and Tyra didn't even let me transform. It was clear poor Marina felt she was at a disadvantage. Ray dropped his arms, his tone growing serious. You almost got burned by the lava demons. After today's training, do you really think you could take them head-on even if you transformed? Marina's lips quivered in anxiety, remembering the near-week-ago incident. But I won't be alone, I'll have you and Cammy, and Ivev, she mumbled. Don't think so stupidly. They could split you all up, they know your weaknesses. Don't you dare think they won't exploit it. He noticed his voice raised a touch, his tone too stern. Look. The next time you see any demons and we're not around, run. What? You heard me. You run. Don't try to fight, don't try to reason, say nothing, and run. If you can't take any of them in your current form, what makes you think your Genesis form would stand a chance? Marina's heart sank at her brother's words, the weight of their reality pressing down on her like a heavy stone. She glanced around the sparring mat, feeling the ache in her muscles from their rigorous training session. The air hung heavy with the scent of sweat and determination, but underneath it all lurked the ever-present fear of the unknown, of the demons that lurked in the shadows. She couldn't shake the memory of the lava demons, their fiery tendrils reaching out to scorch her skin, the searing heat of their breath singeing the edges of her consciousness. She shuddered, her mind replaying the moment when she had been mere inches away from being consumed by their inferno. Ramon's words echoed in her mind, his warning ringing with a solemn truth that she couldn't ignore. The thought of facing those demons alone, without the protection of her brother and their allies, sent a chill down her spine. She knew she wasn't ready, not yet. Look. We're still kids. We don't have all this stuff figured out. And it's not like you were made to battle like we were. He took a moment to kneel down to her. You're a simple water nymph at best. You weren't made for combat. I just want you to be able to project yourself when you're alone or if we're unconscious. You're not running because you're a coward, March. Marina reluctantly agreed to her brother's advice, replying with a simple yeah, I get you, Ray. As he helped her up, she would then get ready, and in the coming hours she was headed to school. She recalled that Angela said that while the younger siblings went to school, the eldest would patrol the streets and keep an eye out for demons. She tried not to seem too worried. But fate had other plans. During recess, as Marina and her sister Mariah enjoyed a moment of respite in the school garden, what if we got some blue and pink flowers for Diane's room? Marina smiled. Oh, that's a great idea! By the time she's as old as us, the plants will be very big and she can bond with nature. Together, the two started to pick a series of flowers together, humming softly, using preserving magic on the petal stems as they plucked and tossing them into their backpack. Suddenly, a sinister presence made itself known. Hello there, little girls, one of the school's gardeners said with an off-tone approach, though as Mariah looked up, she could see the fragments and Frankenstein's pieces that made up this man. He was no gardener. What are you two doing out here all alone? Marina slowly looked up as Mariah gripped her arm, seeing the sinister aura the man gave off. In that moment of confrontation, Marina's mind raced. Should she fight? Should she heed her brother's warning and flee? The greenhouse they were in was pretty big, but the entrance was behind him from where they stood. She tried to think if running in circles to lose him would work, but before she could decide, the demon unleashed a blast of dark energy towards them. It looked like a twisted tendril of vines and satanic power. Instinctively, Marina grabbed Mirai's hand and attempted to escape, their angel power allowing their reflexes and speed to be ever so enhanced. They could see the attack coming and had enough power to evade it. Unfortunately, the blast caught her off guard, sending her far back against the brick wall and sprawling to the ground. As she struggled to regain her footing, Marina realized that fleeing was no longer an option. She felt the back of her head bleed and her back was hurting. Hi, she sighed, watching the gardener cock a smirk and her sister run towards her. With determination burning in her heart, Marina knew she had to protect her sister at all costs. She picked up Mir, started to run to her right in the patches, and found a hiding spot for her, shielding her from the impending danger, before turning to face the demon alone. Call for Tyra and Angela, okay? What are you gonna do? I'm gonna. She didn't have a plan, and hell, she just got her vapor powers weeks ago. I'm gonna stop him, I promise I'll be okay. She kissed her sister on the forehead before rushing off. The battle was fierce, and Marina found herself outmatched at every turn. But she refused to back down, drawing upon every ounce of strength within her. He threw wave after wave of demonic slicing energy, dark violet matter in the shape of a crescent that cut down trees and foliage as it was aimed to take the girl's head off, but she dodged each time and was able to transmutate her body into water almost each and every time. He would try to crack open the earth, but every ditch he made she turned it into a puddle and rose above it. This wasn't looking too good, as he started to get more lethal and break the walls of the greenhouse. Marina knew she had to get rid of him once and for all. After dodging another wave, she crouched down and tried to concentrate. Having hydrokency, she tried to summon every ounce of water she could feel, from the drops in the window panels to the watering cans and soil. Pulling all the water to her from every direction, she created a miniature tsunami. With a mighty roar, Marina unleashed an entire half-lake-sized flood upon the demon, engulfing it in a torrent of water. But even then, the demon refused to yield. In a desperate final act, Marina called upon the ancient language of divine tongues, channeling her willpower into a potent exorcism. In Lacrimis Divinis, Daemon abominabilis demursus est, exectus avosibus iustis e coelestibus regionibus. With a blinding flash of light, the demon was banished from this world, its remains fizzling and dissolving in the water that was purified by the half-angel, vanquished by Marina's unwavering resolve. Exhausted, but victorious, Marina collapsed to her knees, her breath ragged and her body weary. But as she looked up at the sky, she knew that she had faced her fears head-on and emerged stronger than ever before. And though the threat of demons still loomed large, Marina stood tall, ready to defend her loved ones with all her might. She would then stagger over to where Mirai was, only to fall unconscious. Mirai was concerned, wondering if her sister was in critical condition, and while she took note of the scars and blood loss, she saw Marina bore a confident smile through and through, and it warmed her. I see, let me correct that oversight. It was sunset by the time Tyra and a few of her siblings were done shopping at the grocery store. Tyra was pushing a stroller with young Diane inside, the toddler fast asleep. Tyra, Nanas, Dexter, and Brenda were all out to help with the chore. There were only about 5 different types of grocery stores on the island, and the one they went to was only a 30-minute walk from home. They had to make do until the car was back up and running, and, well, none of them could fly perfectly. Tyra pushed the stroller with Diane in it, a specially made piece of infant-carrying machinery, as it was one of those even flow shift rideshare strollers, and she ensured the sun didn't dare hurt her precious sister. Her siblings each dragged a haul of groceries with them, as they were feeding a family of half of 100. Each sibling grabbed a different necessity for the family. Nanas was carrying fruit and vegetables in his cart. Brenda was hauling all beverages, juices, pop, and lots of flavored water. Dexter was carrying frozen foods such as frozen pizza, frozen chicken nuggets, and frozen children's cuisine platters. Due to Brenda's ice abilities, she would glance back at her brother and cast a thin layer of ice to ensure the food didn't thaw as they walked home. Tyra. Nana whined, "My arms are getting tired, how long till we get there?" "You ask this every time, Nanas, and every time I tell you the same thing, we get there when we get there. The trip is only..." The small tyrant let go of her hand to count. Math wasn't her strongest suit. It's only like 30 minutes, so stop complaining." "When do you think the car will be fixed?" Brenda asked, reaching to grab some fruit from her brother's wagon. Well, me and Cammy are doing our best to fix it, and it should be running by Sunday, Dexter answered. Ty, are you sure we can't find some adults to drive for us? Maybe if Mirai no. Tyra barked, halting for a moment before she continued to keep walking. Mom and Dad said to never take away the free will of a human unless they're evil, and even then we control the body, not the mind. It's not right, she sighed. I know, but we're too small to drive. You have to be like I think 16 in the Americas to drive. And you're 9, Dexter sighed. When you got into that accident, we were all scared. To this, the eldest shook her head. I won't use the car to run over demons anymore. I've learned that lesson. But we can't rely on these people for help. They're like sheep, mindless, vulnera. Just then Tyra felt a sharp pain in her brain, causing her to stop the stroller and fall to her small knees. Aghhhhh. Tyra, what's wrong? What happened? But those concerned questions Tyra couldn't hear. She heard the call of her younger sister, Mama, crying out for help. Hearing her sister's sobs. Aida MAW. Something wrong with her, she said, gritting her teeth. Tyra tried to use her telepathy to stretch back out to her sister, her brothers and sisters around her, almost hearing her psychic cry. I'm at Etienne's home. There's police. And the hospital people. I'm scared, there's so much blood. Tyra told Ma to stay where she was or find somewhere to hide, and that she would be there. The others were scared and confused. They wanted to help their sister, but Diane and the groceries needed to go home. Tyra couldn't leave her siblings without her guidance, so she instructed them to simply follow her. Tyra and the others ran to the scene of the crime. An ambulance was blaring its siren just outside the home where the carnage ensued. Where is she? Where is she? Tyra started to panic, trying to sniff out her sister. Her senses weren't very developed yet. Suddenly the raw scent of blood hit her nostrils, that of her young sister's hair shampoo. Tyra's eyes went into slits as she started to dart around every corner, her brothers and sister having a bit of a hard time keeping up. Tyra, slow down, stop moving too fast, Dexter beckoned. Suddenly Tyra did stop. She stopped, looking at the trash cans a few blocks away from the paramedic-filled area. Her eyes went back to normal and tears formed in them. She saw her little sister curled up and covered in blood, holding something to her chest. Brenda, Dexter and Nanas all saw Tyra look utterly shocked, prompting them to step closer, taking Diane's stroller with them. They all saw their little sister balled up in a fearful ball. Tyra took a step closer, reaching her hand out, causing Ma to curl harder, holding her hidden item further. Stay away, she cried out, her red eyes filled with fear. What's wrong? Tyra asked, halting a bit but trying to lean further. What happened back there? Are you hurt? Did they have weapons? Brenda moved to Tyra's side while the others stayed back watching for pesky policemen. Ma, did they hurt you? Did something happen? Her eyes looked closer and she saw the Dill was holding her arm. What's wrong with your hand? The raven-haired sister asked the other. Mama's lips quivered and she slowly took her hand out of her hidden clutched area. Her hand has morphed into that of a crocodile, and it was covered in blood and what appeared to be torn flesh. I didn't mean to tie, I promise, she started to sob out. But the lady, she was mean. As she spoke, her hands started trembling. She pressed Etienne's face in the toilet, screaming at him to spit up his meal. It wasn't right. He was so hungry. And then, I grabbed her, and I tried to slap her to make her stop, make her know what he felt like, but she reached her transformed hand out so Tyra could see. Tyra could tell what had happened from the hand alone. I didn't mean to. I think she's dead. She was bad, and I wanted to kill her, but he's gonna hate me. I killed his mother, the child started to sob over and over. Tyra looked to her sister before off into the distance. If she was dead, there'd be more cops, okay Ma? Tyra knelt down, scooting closer. We'll figure out what to do with ETI in the morning. For now you'll need to come home with us and leave him alone, okay? After some moments of silence and Diane standing up in her stroller to see her big sister, Ma finally stood up and dusted off her keys. It wasn't long before the family started to walk home. Why aren't my powers pretty like Lily, or Blossoms? Or Beatrice? Ma asked, sniffling. I never saw them do what I do. What's wrong with me? Tyra looked down at her sister as she pushed the stroller. Soon they were on the outskirts of the town and headed home. It was only minutes away. Your powers are pretty, the violet-haired sister spoke. To change your body to that of a swamp creature is very beautiful, I think. I know you don't remember her much, but our big sister, Giggles, had a similar power, her rage becoming dangerous, but she's still pretty. The little Dill thought about those words and simmered on them. Tyra was probably right, and she had the scarier power of them all. The ability to transform into a prehistoric carnivore. Tyra, promise me you'll help Etienne, even if he hates me, even if he has to get a new home and never see me again, and even if he fights back. Just help me, I don't want him to be alone. I promise, he will be fine. I will do all that I can.